So Riot recently announced a ton of changes they're trying to make in Valorant in 2025, and I wanted to make a quick video here for you guys to compile them all into one place, so that you know what to expect in this new year. From agent changes, rank changes, and map changes, we've covered everything here today, so just sit tight and let's get straight to it. But before we get into it, if you feel like you've been struggling in rank recently, then we have got a treat for you. Over at SkillCapped, we've recently published a brand new Calm Aim course that details how any one of you could develop Radiant level aim in just a few weeks. While most players aim in just whatever way feels comfortable, it might surprise you to hear that there is actually a proper aiming technique that pros use that not only make themselves more consistent, but it also helps them get more kills like this. In our course, we are going to teach you this proper technique and even provide you with an aim training routine that you can use to instantly start improving your aim and climbing today. Unlike other routines, this is a simple less than 15-minute exercise that you can do before you play that will do wonders for your aim. Not only that, but our site is literally backed by a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't climb, you don't pay. If you're really looking to climb this act and you want to start fragging out in your matches, be sure to check out our new Calm Aim course using the link below. And other than that, let's take a look at some of these changes. So for starters, right now they announced in their dev update that they're going to be seeing changes to a couple of agents here at the start of the year. The first of which is ISO, who according to Dan Hardison, they want to do some power budget redistribution to. Now that's pretty much all they said for ISO, but we of course can speculate on what that means. And if I were to guess, it probably has something to do with making his utility just a little bit stronger, specifically his undercut and his contingency. ISO very much feels like the whole reason that you pick him is to have that advantage in gunfights with his shield. And while his ultimate can actually be pretty effective for team play if the ISO player is smart, the rest of his kit normally feels pretty underwhelming. If it means we have to sacrifice a bit of power in his ultimate or his shield somehow to make the rest of his kit just a little bit better, I actually don't mind. I'm not gonna lie, there was a time where ISO was so broken it literally made me quit the game, but I gotta say I wouldn't mind seeing him just a little bit more. On top of the ISO changes, they've also said that they're looking to tweak Neon a little bit just to balance her out after her recent changes. In my personal opinion, I feel like the recent Neon nerfs have hit her a little bit too hard. I definitely don't think that she's gutted right now, but since her nerfs, I rarely see Neon in ranked because there's just better options. Now, duelists aside, they also mentioned that you should be looking out for Deadlock and Harbor changes in the near future. For Deadlock specifically, they said they want to make her sound sensors a bit more valuable for whatever that might mean, and then they also want to give her a bit more aggressive capabilities. Now, I honestly have no idea what this is going to look like. I actually think Deadlock is already one of the most aggressive Sentinels personally, because she can throw her wall forward and she can pretty effectively block off a flood while pushing sight, and her GravNet is also a pretty decent tool on attack. Not to mention her ultimate, which is already pretty solid, but maybe a little bit inconsistent. Weirdly enough, I think an ult buff for Deadlock might be pretty good. As for the sensors, I know that everyone is going to say that they need to make them function as a normal tripwire, but honestly, I'd be surprised if they did that. I feel like thematically, the sonar sensors are a really unique ability that is actually pretty cool, even if they don't function the best all the time. They're a tripwire that you're supposed to place on site for post plants rather than flank to guard the flank. And now I don't work at Riot, and I have no idea what to expect, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say that they will buff them in every other way possible before they make this function as an actual tripwire. Finally though, we have some Harbor changes on the horizon. Dan Madeley said that they're looking to make Harbor more fun to play. His pick rate is really low, so that kind of signifies that people just don't enjoy playing him. My thought on this is that if you compare Harbor to other controllers, he kind of only has smoke. His kit has a smoke wall, another smoke wall, and a smoke orb. Aside from his ultimate, all he's got is smokes. Compare that to Omen, who could do crazy TP stuff, Brimstone who's got his molly for post plants, Viper who's got her pizzazz by being able to throw her smokes up and down and rat all around to them, and Clove is just fun, you get to run in there and fight and stuff. Harbor isn't great. He just doesn't really have that part of his kit that's like, oh yeah, this is my time to shine. Personally, I feel like he just needs that button that feels like really freaking good to press. I think right now it's supposed to be his Cove, which can be kind of fun on retakes or for getting the plant down, but it just doesn't fill that hole in your heart that you have when you play him. I did a little reading on Harbor too, and another thing that's kind of interesting to me is that when he was designed, they wanted to create a controller agent that specifically handles smokes without having to go into another dimension. Astra's got her Astral form, Omen's got his Shadow form, Brimstone and Clove have their iPads. If I had to guess, they're probably going to want to try to find a way to continue to make this work and keep that identity of Harbor the same. After all, they did successfully achieve this with Viper. If that ends up being the case, I'd love to hear what you guys think. How would you fix Harbor without making it so he has to go into an interface to smoke? Let me know in the comments. Now, another thing that they talked about at the end of the last year is the map pool is going to be changing incredibly often now. Like every single act often. We saw this happen at the start of the act with Ascent and Sunset exiting the map pool and Fracture and Lotus coming back in. But now we found out that in patch 10.04, we're going to be seeing Abyss and Bind exiting the map pool and Icebox and Ascent coming back in. They haven't announced any changes to these maps yet, but it's kind of weird to me that we'd have Ascent leave the map pool and then immediately come back in the next act. It's been in the map rotation longer than any other map in the game, I'm pretty sure, so so taking literally a 2-month break before coming back in just feels a little odd. However, it is a pretty beloved map by most, so I'm sure people aren't upset to hear this. I know people don't necessarily love Abyss yet either, so they're probably going to be happy to see that go. If you're an Icebox hater like me, I've got bad news for you, but we'll have to just suck it up for a bit. If maps are rotating this often, at the very least, you won't be having to deal with the ones that you hate for too long, so it is kind of a nice change to keep the game fresh. Another thing that I think everyone can be excited for is that we're actually going to be seeing RR rollbacks, or in other words, cheater refunds. You know when you play against a player who's really sus, so you report them, and afterwards you don't really hear anything else? Maybe the next day you get a notification that says, thanks for your report, we banned that guy. But that still kind of sucks. You still lost RR. That's going to change this year, and now if somebody in your game gets banned, you're going to get that RR back. I can't imagine you would lose RR if you were on the cheaters team. That would probably feel pretty shitty if you logged in and then realized you were 22 RR lower than you were before, but who knows? That would be a funny meme at the very least. They said we would get more details on this later in Act 1, so I guess be on the lookout in the next month or two. Oh, and if you felt like you were running into more cheaters than normally recently, then you probably were. The head of Ryan's anti-cheat posted on X recently this image saying that we saw a lot of Valorant cheaters accumulate over the holidays, but we're back and happy to be handing out their gifts. Cheaters don't take breaks, so thanks for letting us all have a small respite. We can hit so much harder now. Soon, future bans will include ranked rollbacks. So yeah, just nice to know that it's not all in your head. It's possible that you ran into a cheater. Along with all these cheater refunds, they're also adding ranked armor, which basically will give you extra protection from deranking between divisions. So if you're gold 1, it'll be harder for you to derank down to silver 3. Now this is a cool change that's kind of a feel-good thing. Nobody really likes dropping between divisions. That being said, it does contribute to a little bit of rank inflation. As of right now, you already need to lose a game at 0 RR to derank. So even if you have 1 RR, you have derank protection for the game. My assumption is that you'll always gain like an extra game or two between divisions, and honestly in Valorant it doesn't actually take that long to climb between divisions. Each division is only 300 RR, and you could climb 1, sometimes 2 ranks literally in a day if you go on a lucky win streak. It sounds to me like we could run into an issue where there are literal ranked checkpoints that people will have so they can have turbo negative win rates and still somehow tread water and stay in these ranks that they're not supposed to be. With hidden MMR, maybe that doesn't matter because they won't be playing in these lobbies, but I'm sure they thought about this and have solutions. It's just a concern that I have. Finally, something that everyone is always talking about, we got a small update on replays from Riot New. He talked about how they are working through some lag compensation issues for replays, but basically what it comes down to is that they are working to create the best possible replay experience that we could have. Now, I know that this is something that we've waited a long time for and a lot of people are getting impatient, but just hear me out. Now, I haven't used replay systems in every game, but the ones that I have used in the past always have some issues. Sometimes the interface sucked, sometimes the game didn't exactly mirror what I saw, and sometimes they were just even limitations on what I could do in the replay. The replay systems worked though, and you could go back and view your games even if they weren't perfect. For people wondering why replays are taking so long, it seems like this is the reason why. Riot is trying to make a really good product, and right now the major issue is that due to the way that the client and the server communicates, replays are a bit funky. Shots that you might have landed in game when you go back into the replay will look like they missed. Now, I don't think that this is just a Riot issue. I feel like this is something that I've experienced in other games when using the replay systems. Now, if you're like me, I actually don't really care about this, and it's probably something I can move past. I would probably take a subpar replay system at this point over having to wait for something really good, but that's not what Riot does. They like to release a polished product, and my only hope is that when we do get a replay system, it's really, really good, because God knows we have waited a long time for it. We still don't have a date on when it'll be added in, but we did get told we'll receive another update later this year, so stay tuned for that. And if you're struggling to climb, then let me tell you that we can help you out today and get you back on track and ranking up right now. As mentioned with our brand new Calm Aim course, we will teach you everything that you need to know about how aiming has developed over the last 10 years. We'll teach you the established proper aiming technique that pros use to maximize their accuracy and with far less. Aiming can feel so hard sometimes, but we'll help you make it stupid simple and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. Don't forget, site subscribers also get direct access to our coaches in the Discord so that you can get personalized feedback just for you. Nobody understands how to climb out a low elo more than us, so if you're looking to rank up, be sure to check out a SkillCapped using that link below. And other than that, my name's Casey, and I'll catch you in the next one.